The hip-hop writer is a creator, composing understanding words of cultured brilliance, powering a rebalance of the elements equally. Pages of rejuvenated reaffirmation, simply the almighty leadership of its cipher craftwork that stands to build through any confrontation born to be. Yet his daily duty is as a journalist that questions properly and uses his ears to filter the real. And as the art decays by dilution, he concentrates the best again and again, exposing it in the print. Today's journalist and tomorrow's historian, he listens to share. Here is that necessary attempt executed again and again and again. This is the Power Right Show on S.STREET Media. This is your brother, the lone low life with the home sewn garment, the Boricua with the build, the true and living God stepping his score, Sunya Zala, a.k.a. S.STREET Low. And we're on S.STREET Media, the evolution of media, where every intrigue will have its own show, every incredible thought will have its own episode, and every timeless insight will be archived. And as I always say, this show is about my element of hip-hop, what I like to call the writer of art and science on music. The only show in history on this hip-hop writer element that I, a veteran of over a quarter century, helped to pioneer. So, with that said, we have some business right now, and it's the business of good books. I got a new book that is coming out very soon. It is completely different than the ones out, so you'll still have to buy these anyway. They're no replacement books. You don't get, new ones. Right now, the most recent book is The Reel of 2020. It is a complete 70-page analysis of the best musicians and artists and hip-hop music that I studied, bracketed in a revolutionary new system of ciphers that categorize the entire music universe. It isn't, here's my favorite, here's this, here's that. It doesn't have gossip. It doesn't have anybody who snitched. It doesn't have any of that stuff. Just about music. And so it could present you as much of this world as I could present to you, and then you make your decisions of what categories you're into, who overlaps in certain categories, and where does everything fit in that you want to get into your ear. This all started, though, with my earlier book, The Filtered Real Essays from the Invisible Renaissance. I call this era the Invisible Renaissance since 2010. I call it that because we have the peak of recording in the 90s, we could say. But then it reached what I call a commercial blood-sucking drought in the 2000s, where even the quality artists were diluted, right? i.e., the locks, right? There's a good example, right? Talents that are diluted through questionable musical formats, struggling through formulas that the label is demanding. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if you want to see the mountain climber who plays the electric guitar, I saw him in the 2000s. You know what I mean? And also lesser artists being heralded goats. We saw people not graduating to the mainstream that were really talented, that should be mainstream with their talents. This is the 2000s. A lot of great music, but I still called it the Dark Ages. And where I'm coming from, those magazines, so boy, it was the Dark Ages, though. Those shits were as thick as Cosmopolitan, though, and it was as bitch-made, fashion-laden as those magazines were. And but something happened in 2010s. I started to see great artists not just be independent, but have a demand. Have a demand on their product, have a demand on their work, and a quality ethic. You know what I mean? Developing styles that aren't there anymore. Adding on to styles and not just being retro acts. You know what I mean? Where you get retro acts. I'm not going to name any right now because it's going to be too quick and I don't want it to be a dart. But the point is that since 2010, once it hit 2012, I started to say it was an invisible renaissance. You know why? Because I was the only one writing about it. I was the only one talking about it. And I certainly was the only one saying that it was going to happen, though. And this is right as Rock Marciano's releasing Reloaded, right as Kaz releasing, his second album, Grief Pedigree, right when Sean Price is Mike Tyson. And to me, that's the peak of really Sean Price's career, really, you know what I mean? Sky Zoo is hitting a peak. So all those guys out of the 2000s are hitting peaks, you know what I mean? People are starting to appreciate others out of the 2000s, like Bronze Nazareth. All of a sudden, now everybody loves Doom, you know what I mean? Like now they didn't appreciate him, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now they're seeing what a legacy he has because the MCs that are coming up are actually influenced by him, and they're realizing that. A renaissance, a real renaissance, and that's why I call it the invisible renaissance, because you guys are still not looking, you know what I mean? And trust me, they're not looking, you know? So stop waiting for, you know, those big magazines to tweet the guys that you like. They're not. So the Filtered Reel, still on sale, still on Amazon, still on sale if you get at me. It's Sunez 97. But here's the thing. I have some doom in a negative way when I think about what's happening in the 2020s, though. I think there's an industrialization of the underground. I think these are negative things that are happening. But I also think that the greatest thing is that this thing is even exploding with even more great artists, you know? And in the same fashion, though, where great artists introduced me to other great artists, you know what I mean? And ones I was sleeping on. So my guest today has quickly become a favorite artist of mine, you know what I mean? A real artist, you know? I'm thinking of him as an MC, but he's a real artist, though, a real poet, very introspective, very hardcore. And he's somebody that, just like the greatest, what I call the greatest of boom bap and hip hop, you have to listen to deeply, you know, to really get the intricacies of what he's doing and what he's doing, you know what I mean? If you go out there, if you go onto YouTube and watch his videos, though, he's going to be wearing the cool fashions, though. You know what I mean? That's official stuff. You know what I mean? Ill colors, ill combinations. I see it, though. You know what I mean? The fashion is on point. If you're into the beats, you'll be let in because Spanish Ran is one of the great producers of this era. There's no way around it. If I was to say that he was top 5, that might be understating it, though. He has works that are stellar. You know what I mean? Are stellar. In my mind, though, I'm waiting for him to sell instrumental albums and things like that because you could listen to his stuff all day. You know what I mean? You could listen to his stuff all day. My guest is Bloo Azul. Peace, Almighty.
Peace, man. Pleasure to have you.
There's so much to say about your work. You know what I mean? And I want to get the details of it, but I love that. I love how I learned about you. I love how I had you in my head. I had videos saved of you, and I was like, I don't know. We're going to get into it when we get to that album and stuff. I was like, I don't know if he's going to have that type of cover. That's real dangerous, you know what I mean? To do that type of cover. We'll talk about that when we get there. But what I love about your work, you know, Bloo, is that you're giving us something that the whole Bronx is not recording and getting out there. You know what I mean? Real reflections, real visuals of the Bronx streets, real visuals of a brother that's growing up there. You know, we don't get that anymore. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's no matter what anybody says, it's not a diss because the people that represent the Bronx are some of the strongest MCs now. But it's still the most underrepresented borough on the mic.
It really is.
There's really no doubt about it. But the work that you've given out in just a short 3 years, you know, if we talk from 2019 to 2021, you know, I can't overestimate this enough, but it's a stellar work.
Thank you.
You know, stellar work. So let's go to the origins, you know what I mean? The origins of Bloo Azul, you know, growing up in the Bronx. So what was that experience like and how it eventually got you to MC?
I mean, my whole life revolved around it, you know. Even the blocks I grew up at. I was mostly in Hunts Point area, and I was a lot in Pelham Parkway area. But in both areas, a lot of dudes were rhyming the corner. It was just a thing, you know, freestyling. It was just a thing. And I was so, like, amazed by it, you know. And it just kind of took me in. And it was to the point where I was like, I need to do this, you know. And I've always been doing it. That's the thing. I grew up battling. That's what I did back in the day. We just battle people, make fun of your sneakers, this, that, whatever. You know, it was always some kind of clowning effect, you know. But yeah, man. No, I realized that we had something special, you know. Like it was something that we know that if we actually put out, like, gonna make an impact, you know.
Well, let's rewind, right? You see these guys rhyming in the corner. What are you, a young teenager, preteen, maybe?
I was about 10 years old. Like about 10 years old. I was hanging around with the knuckleheads out there and shit. But one of my best friends, his brother was one of the guys who would rhyme all the time, you know. So it's like we were always there in the crowd annoying them and shit like that. but they were real for real about it. You know what I mean? And they had some real talent, man. Like these guys, they never got their time to shine, but they had some super talent, man. And I learned well from them, you know? Like it was something that I picked up on my own, and I realized, yo, you know what? It's not just about rapping, man. You know, it's not just about the two words together.
At what age and what moment do you go, yeah, I got some bars, and you go up to them and you go, yo, I got some bars here?
I want to say like 15 years old is when I was like more confident. You know what I mean? Because when I first started, I was in the room spitting to my sister, like, yo, what you think of it? She's like, oh my God, that rhyme? Like, you know, she didn't know any better, you know?
right. It rhymes. Yeah.
Exactly. But when I actually got more comfortable to like spit it to other people, and again, like I said, the crew I was with, they all rhyme. So it was a comfortability, you know, of that. So it helped a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'd say 15 years old. 15 years old was like the striking point of like, all right, this is something I could do, you know?
How did that work out the first couple of times?
What do you mean? Like,
you know, like just rhyming out the reactions you got? Because sometimes some MCs tell me like, yo, they got straight bombed up, and others said if it didn't go good, I wasn't going to keep going on, but it went good.
See, that's the thing. I'm my own worst critic, you know, for myself. Like I just... You know, I spit it. I'm like, it ain't cool. But to somebody else, the reactions were crazy. You know what I mean? And it was constant of that. It was always like, yo. So I'm like, I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? So that helped out a lot. You know what I'm saying? That built my confidence more from the reactions of the crowd. You know?
Are there artists you're studying at that time and you're saying like, yo, this is how...
I know everybody is, but I was a huge Nas fan, man. Just because at the time, Nas had a lot of substance, you know? Not even just you know, just how crazy he was spitting, but
you said at the time, though, he pretty much continues to be the time, right?
Of course. Right. But like you said, Invisible Renaissance, it's like people don't know that this time is still happening. You
exactly,
know what I mean?
right.
It's funny how people just realize shit like, yo, bro, I didn't know there was a whole lineup of people, you know? But,
right.
Yeah. But Nas was a huge influence, and of course, Pun. When that was like on the play right there. Once I heard the Pun album, I said, oh my God, this guy's Puerto Rican too. Like, you know, he's not going too much on the Puerto Rican tip of things. And that's one thing I don't like to do. I don't want to be like, oh, Boricua, this, that, and throw it always in my rhymes. I want you to figure it out, you know? And I want to have like some kind of substance towards that. So, yeah, Pun definitely influenced that as well.
Let me ask you about the ciphers, because ciphers are sometimes different. Like, for example, like Thurston Howell, other Boricua MCs, they were the lone Boricua.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, he's in Brownsville. He's that only Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So when he starts to rhyme in Spanish and starts to try to do that and stuff, it's a thing of like, yo, I missed out on all that because I never got to do it.
Yeah.
The Bronx is a little different. We're growing up around everybody
big difference.
Puerto Rican and stuff like that, you know, or the places where I grew up in Brooklyn, because I grew up in Sunset Park and it was all Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a little different. So you don't have to tell everybody you're Puerto Rican.
Exactly. You don't.
Everybody around you is Puerto Rican.
And I feel like that's part of the formula. You shouldn't
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like you know, like the Dao De Ching doesn't keep saying, hey, my Chinese niggas, listen. You know,
facts.
The book is written in China and it's for Chinese.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get it.
You know?
Granted, I'll throw little symbols here and there, little Puerto Rican flag here and there. You know
oh, yeah, no doubt.
To touch it in there, you know what I mean? Just be like, oh, okay, you know?
No doubt. Anybody that does the knowledge to your music is going to figure that out, obviously. But
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, though, because I'm always curious about this, because it juxtaposes with this, because I love this idea that you even had that feeling, and I just want to mine that just to put it in connection with my experience at that time. Most of my experience in the industry during when I started in the mid 90s, all through the 2000s, Puerto Ricans weren't being accepted as part of hip hop or even as co-creators of hip hop culture. You know what I mean? There were even books out there, right? I'm not going to name names. I'm talking about scholars that actually say that the Jamaican presence isn't really very relevant in hip hop music. To come to the conclusion that it's a pretty much African American genre. So all of the, it's not toasting, it's other African American genres that were rhyming in there before. It's not the sound system. It was just getting together anyway, and they was doing that. You know, so always to throw away the Caribbean presence. You know what I mean?
I kind of feel like it's still like that in a way.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, you know,
and it still gets like that. But no magazine is going to be able to take it out now.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Where they could take it out. Even in 2005, they were editing that out when I would write that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find it a great thing that people are understanding that this is literally a black diaspora of the entire Caribbean and Americas that made this music and this culture. You know what I mean? And I could go on and on about that, with the dancing and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And we go on forever. But as we go back, right?
Okay.
So Blue Sul, how did you come up with this name?
Well,
so eventually you start rhyming and stuff. What was your first MC names?
It was always Blue. And I know there's like 50 million Blues out there, which gets me fucking upset. You know what I mean? But I've been called Blue since I was 8 years old. It's like I have no fucking choice. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like,
why? What was
I mean, at the time, it was my favorite color. That's all I wore all the time.
Oh,
so it's just like, yo, Blue. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the OO came from, all right, so I was cool with this dude in Castle Hill. He was a big time graffiti writer. His name was Blue, but he was UE. And he was up there. You know what I'm saying? He was cool. My cousin, this and that. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody called me Blue. So I just, out of respect on his thing, I was like, you know what? I'll change up the wording. You know, people call me Blue, but I'll just put it a little different on a little spin on it.
BLOO.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
So from the beginning, you were like, oh, well, I'm just Blue rhyming and stuff.
Exactly, just Blue. And it wasn't even Asu. You know what I mean? Honestly, the only reason Asu was added now is because of all the fucking Blues that's out there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right.
Right.
Yo, it's funny because when I dropped Danger Blue, Nowhere Blue, for some reason the catalog went to Blue in Japan. I don't know if you know that Blue. He's part of K-pop. Yo, it's crazy.
My daughter might know him.
Yo, it's crazy. Yeah. So I was getting half people like, yo, this ain't K-pop, but yo, this is actually kind of hard. And yo, what the fuck is this? This ain't no K-pop shit. You know what I mean?
So people are buying your record and they're getting disappointed.
So funny because it went right to his catalog, and yo, he's like big out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so funny, bro. So funny.
Yo, shit.
Yeah, man.
Do they get their record back or no? They got to get into you now.
They got to get into me.
That's too late, though.
That's it, man. You roped in now. You got to deal with me.
Yeah. That's hilarious, though.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Now, look, I'm trying to mine this history because it's not out there. You know, these origins of Blue Azul. And the reason is because I think I really see you as a real special artist, a real poet, a real insightful brother. There were so many bars that I sit back and analyze the sky like Ghostface, you know, with certain bars you have, you know what I mean? And the truth is that your first record, it comes out that polished. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know where it became where you start to write rhymes, and it's not just to dominate the block or the cipher, and you start saying, listen, I'm going to use the space here to express my life. You know, because a lot of times, though, in certain ciphers, doing that doesn't really fit in with the cipher of other MCs or artists that you're working with. They're like, nah, man, we trying to get this money. We trying to just rhyme about shit that we angry about or whatever it is. I'm not saying that they're trying to sell. I'm saying that they're just on a one-way trip. Because I was saying this, I forgot who I was saying this to, but I was saying this to Rhinoceros and Yazid of Agents of Reform, you know, out there in Guerrilla Grooves and everything. And they have a great album out now. And I was telling them that a lot of ciphers that I go into now, they are not hip-hop ciphers. You know, like you feel like the elements are there. You know what I mean? Like and things like that. It feels like a drug house. And, you know, you do your drugs and you make some art while you're there. You know what I mean? And that's different. You know what I'm saying? How did you get so retrospective? What was the where you said like this is the palette, this is the place I'm gonna share these intimate thoughts?
I mean, like you said, everybody goes in that one way direction, you know. And honestly, that's something we didn't want to do. You know, I knew I can go way more on substance and talk about actual real shit. You know what I mean? But still make it sound cool. You know, so. I've always been that way. I've always tried to be outside the box. I never wanted to be like anybody else. You know what I mean? If 5 people are doing this, I'm gonna go the other way and do this. You know what I mean? So I feel like me being me, my own person, actually helped out in that situation. You know, because I've always wanted to speak out. I mean, honestly, I'm a big introvert. I don't speak as much normally. Yeah, we talking now, but my rhymes is how I express myself. You know what I mean? More of the time. You know, I stay low key a lot, but that's where I express myself. That's where the real Blue comes in, you know? And yeah, man, I needed substance from the difference of other people. Like we said before, everybody rhymes, you know what I mean? But the cadence and all that, it matters, man.
Right. So let's talk about before this first album, Gracias, right? Yeah. Which means thank you in Spanish. Before this first album with Spanish Ran producing, how did you meet Spanish Ran? Tell us about that whole thing, you know what I mean?
So me and Spanish Ran, we went to high school together.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What high school? were you?
St. Ramus.
Okay.
Yeah. And Rand, he's a versatile dude. Like, he actually used to rhyme back in the day too. You know what I mean? So I actually met him on his book rhyming, and it was funny because we both had on the same iceberg sweaters. So we would talk about that, and then we just kind of got cool. And then we was like, "Oh, you into music?" And bro, a brotherhood started right after that. Like, literally from that day till present day, it's been all brotherhood.
What year was that? Let's say what year is that?
That was like 2002, something like that.
Well, this is a long time. This is like almost 20 years. Brotherhood.
No, absolutely, man.
I need the people that listen will need that context because these records are so refined. Like J Live used to tell me that when I talked to him about his second album, right? I gotta look that up. What's J Live's second album name? I have the damn cover in my head because he used the all of the above. And he used John Coltrane's Blue Train as like he mimicked the Blue Train cover, right? That's my favorite J Live album. I mean, it's great albums, all right? But when I talked to him about it, when he first was doing it and stuff like that, he said this to me. He said, the one difference in making all of the above than the best part, his debut was, and it's always stuck with me, was it took my whole life to make the best part. And I only have like a year or a certain amount of time to do that. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's interesting about that is that Gracias feels like your whole life up to that time. You know what I mean?
It's wild that you say that because Gracias originally, because me and Rand used to make music insane amount of times. Like, bro, we have I don't even know how many, man. We have like 400 songs or something plus, you know what I mean? So we've always were on it. But when we actually made the move to make it happen, we had a bunch of songs that were already made, and we was able to like make them sound in sync, at least cohesive. And that's what helped out a lot, to be honest. The cohesiveness,
Yeah, let's talk about this Gracias album. I loved it. There isn't a work that you have that I didn't really get into. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you.
Right? But there's certain lines that you have, like, what struck me out. And I'm going to go through these, just throw things out at you and what your thoughts were about some of these, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also try to really tell the listener what it was that you'll be hearing on this stuff, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Besides the incredible production, if you love listening to production, you're listening for two things. You're listening for crates. You know what I'm saying? I think I have good soul crates. So when guys get me, and there's two guys that keep getting me now, and they get me annoyed already, is Wavy the God and Spanish Rand. These two guys are annoying me because I keep getting, they keep getting me.
Yeah.
But Spanish Rand also flips really, really like easy soul records to me. And he does it in a way where I'm like, oh, you did that to it? I didn't know anybody was going to do that.
And it'd be the same.
He chops different. He'll take some part that's different. You know what I mean? It's just really fun to listen to. You know what I mean? And, but there's so many lines that stand out that made me think back. You know what I mean? Like Luck. Luck said, you said so many codes in the street, but we never had rules, though. Tell me about that line, though, what you meant there. Because
I mean, just, I guess, normal, no snitching, none of this, some older head on the block, you look out for him because he looked out for you, like send you to the store, do this, he give you some money for it. So there was certain little hidden, codes and stuff that we just knew already. But at the same time, being outside, was there any rules? You know what I mean? It wasn't at all, you know what I mean? You do what you want at your own tone, so yeah, that's pretty much that line right there.
That that's such a great line. That's why I wanted you to explain that. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Back in the day, it just
Love Lost. Let's look at Love Lost, right? No love lost when you was never searching for it. I'm my own man. Peace is something I've been searching further for. I would murder for it, but I thought you said, yeah, I know it's the only type of balance in this world now. Here comes the world now. This is great stuff here. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro.
And nobody says stuff like that where they're not looking for love because peace is something that they've been searching further for
a long time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for love though. Build on that a little bit though, because to people it sounds so horrible a thought
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where it's idealistic, though. Everybody's looking for love, and you're like, nah, peace is not where that love is.
Not at all, man.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like I said in the line, I mean, for you to find that peace, there's a lot of like trials and tribulations just to get to that, you know? So there's a lot that you have to go through. There's a lot of fucking issues. A lot of shit for you just to find that peace at the top. It's like you climbing a mountain, you know? And you're just going through all the rough shit just till you get to that top, you know? And when you're at top, you're at peace, absolutely, you know? But yeah, man, I mean, it's
you know, this is, you know, there's so much great stuff here. And I got to put a thing here, and I'm going to be noting it here, but the techniques that you do are never the techniques that necessarily the tempo or the break is usually calling for.
Yes,
like what the usual MC calls for.
That's a big importance for me right there.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times you'll be doing stuff though that normally would not be done in the type of beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do this thing. I want to say it's double time, but there are clear double time on some songs. But then there's something else you do, and it's almost like, I don't want to call it double time, but it's like a skip jump thing you do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, it's hard to describe. It's a skip jump thing. And then it could race to the bar.
Yes, as long as it's in the pocket.
Right. It could race to the bar.
But between that pocket, I'm all over the place.
I remember, I tell people, like, I was telling Rome Streets about this. Some people run in the pocket, and I could hear them falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're falling down the stairs. You never fall down the stairs. It's always in there. It's almost like the dough. Like you're making dough, and it squeezes in there. It squeezes in there, and it keeps squeezing in there. And this is a device I'm going to be noting later. And since we're talking about devices, you've literally, and everything is the first place I could note it here, but I call it the Pretty Tony Athletics. You know what I mean? Okay. Because Ghostface did this where he did, you know, on Pretty Tony, where he did the whole, I think it was a Delphonics song, or was it Dramatic? No, it wasn't it was the Delphonics. I think it was on Pretty Tony. And he rhymed that song perfectly. And right on the chorus, though, it hit the chorus exactly, you know, on Holla. You know what I mean? And if you're really doing the knowledge, though, you'll hear Allah Real, Remembered Imperfection of the God, singing Holla, Holla, Holla.
Okay.
A lot of people don't notice that Allah Real is singing on top of the vocals. Sample. He's singing on top of the sample. I knew Allah Real, so I know his voice, so it was easy to point out. But Ghostface, when he rhymes that, he's on top of the sample, like right when it gets there at the end. You do this like it's nothing, and you actually introduce new devices on it. And I just making that note because later as we go along these albums, I'm gonna point them out. I gotta say, I've never heard that before.
I'm a big fan of like beats that throw words into it. You know what I mean? And I love creating off that. You know what I mean? Here's
the thing that I think it's so difficult, and what you did that's amazing to me, is that a lot of soul songs, the way that the singer is singing, or the vocalized songs, let's just say the vocalized song, because some of them, they're not really, they could be rock ballads or 60 songs. Like the crates are deep. It's Spanish. Don't be, thinking, you know, the vocals are not always in the same pocket as the beat that the song is coming from. They might be on a different step. And what's crazy is that when you do this, you're in both pockets at the same time. Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, this is stuff that I've never really heard before in a song. You know what I mean? I've never heard anybody do it, though. And if you want to go out there and say you've heard this shit, then you could bullshit yourself. I've heard a lot of music. I've heard hundreds and thousands of songs. I'm telling you, I haven't heard that. You know what I mean?
Bro, that was a big goal of mine, like, for me not to sound like no one. I don't want you to be like, yo, this guy sounds like, nah.
It's crazy to try that. And as we go along, I'm going to make note of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in this song, Everything, you do it, right? So I wrote here, I said it was so hard to hold an intimate vibe and introspective insight, speeding into a double time pace. So it's used like an emotion overload device. So the double time is not all the way. It's double timing at different speeds, but it's being used in the content like an emotion overload. It's just, it's real great stuff. And I'm just pointing that out, Bloo, because people don't know. They might not know what they're hearing.
That's little intricate things that people won't realize.
It's crazy. When you hear it, though, then you're like, wow, this shit is crazy. You know what I mean?
Thank you, bro.
But Live Here, I had a lot of samples here. I quoted a lot, though. So let's start the Michael Eric Dyson show. You know what I mean? But you said, it's fast paced as the prior song that I just mentioned, everything, but the rhythm is there's a chop phrasing, you know what I mean? And what I like about it though is that it's telling fragments of your story. So it's like a stream of conscious history, you know, fragments of your history. But this is good stuff. My attitude was fuck that, interrupting while I was watching Rugrats, a sugar rush at the moment, ready to attack. You see the devices here. He's watching Rugrats, but we already know he's eating cereal because you eat cereal when you watch Rugrats. So the sugar rush at the moment, you see how you left ready that out, attack, but it's in there. You see what I'm saying? And you can't teach that. That's old school. You know what I mean?
That's Hump Points days, man. Shout out to my grandma, man.
Yeah. Grandma insisted she handle it. I opened the door to head out, pushed the shit out of him, and started scrambling down the stairs. Since young, always around negativity. It was my theory of relativity. Managed to take a route less illegal. No need to wear a vest, all ready for action like Sylvester Seagal. Bronx made me who I am as I throw up Wakanda. You see, they forgot about the skills, so I throw them reminders. That's expert shit right there. Expert shit. You know what I mean? When you write about the history that you came from in the Bronx and stuff, it really resonates with me because our histories growing up aren't really on wax anymore. People are a lot of people just throw out though their illegal crime history, the history that the niche market wants, and just leave it like that. You know what I mean?
The thing is too, a lot of people got egos, man, you know, and I try not to show any ego in what I do. You got me, you know what I mean? I'm just showing you myself. I don't try to hold back or anything, you know, and I feel like that's been working for me, you know?
Absolutely. More stuff. Joint papers though.
True.
There are so many songs. Also too, to me, an MC has to have that starting bar. The starting bar. Cloudy thoughts, blurry vision showing how we lost, no worry. Prison is under cost. Since I've risen, peasants say, get off your high horse. Advice I hardly take because living well is what I die for, so live it up. You know what I mean? There's so many dope things in here. A device that I found was really dope too. Later you said, I need to meditate like elders need to medicate. Ain't into achieving world peace unless I met and you pause there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you pause there, like, and when I first heard it, I was like, wow, he fucked it up. He fucked up the bar. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then it was a device, so you could continue to go. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it was great.
Try to keep the wordplay, but at the same time, you know,
right.
Do my own little twist. You know?
Yeah. So even in the stumble, it felt like a real stumble, and it's like, oh wow, you really, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought you were gonna stumble and end the verse.
Yeah.
And then you used it to go in and keep going.
Yes.
That's just great stuff. You know what I mean? I just got to mention it, Blue. When you're writing all this stuff, and now it makes sense that you know Spanish ran so long, but does he know that this is what's going to come out of you?
I mean, pretty much. Because this is what we did all these years, you know what I mean? We'd be next to each other fucking making music and rhyming, you know? Like, this was destined to happen for us because this is something we know. This is what we know, you know?
Right.
So, and of course, that helps a lot too, the friendship things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Bro, that's a big thing. It's funny, I was watching something with Common the other day, and he was talking about how, you know, he used to go to Jay Dilla's apartment and shit like that, and you know, before they even recorded tracks, they used to go to Dave and Buster's together, go to the bar. You know what I mean? Like, they actually had a friendship, you know? And that's the thing, too, when I work with other artists, you know? Like, I like to meet you first. I don't want to send you an email, you know what I mean? I want to see if we vibe right. Because if we don't vibe right, then I don't think the song's going to be organic, you know?
Right.
I mean, I've been blessed that everybody has been meeting is fucking great, you know what I mean? Which is good. And that's what I like about this renaissance. Everybody fucks with each other, you know what I mean? But at the same time, everybody can eat. And it's always going to be competition regardless. You know what I mean? It's always going to be that. But, yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You know what I mean? Temptation, another one where you're on the vocal snippet perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 3 stories on that one, yeah.
In this one, take note of the inflection. You know, the way the pitch raise at the end of the bar is the same throughout the whole song. You know what I mean? Hard to do. You know, when people do that, you get bored of the song, you know, because now, like sometimes when the concepts are too rigid, an MC can't sustain it for the whole song without getting a little stale at the end.
Yeah.
After a while, I was forgetting the devices you were using because you were saying so many things. So it wasn't inhibiting stuff. This is what makes it great. And then the last song, All That I Do, to me, this song was totally different than the others because I felt like the song structure, the sentence structure was longer.
Funny you say that. That's the last song that we put out right before we actually made the album. He had threw me the beat, and that was the last thing I did.
Right. That's because there's a lot of chop phrasing, different types of phrasing. This one had long structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, one of your funniest lines though that we all relate to is Boricuas over here, where we learn our Spanish terrible.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Puerto Rican from the Bronx. Before you ask, my Spanish is trash. One of my homies
man.
had magician dads, vanish and dash, and getting by in the summer is easier than pushing themselves.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's good stuff. You know what I mean? That's great
you
stuff.
know already about New Yorkers over here. In the
Yeah.
city, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Majority
exactly.
People are not, I wish I knew more Spanish, but I learned Spanish from like working outside, doing construction and shit. That's the only reason I even knew any Spanish.
Right.
My parents, they're fluent, but they never really got at it with me, So
Right. And it's funny you say that because a lot of people don't understand that experience. Like for my parents, they were both fluent, but they didn't want me to speak Spanish. They didn't want us to be ridiculed for an accent.
Same thing with my parents.
You know what I mean? And then what ended up happening was that they made me write obsessively. So I ended up being a writer, you know what I mean? So I can't even complain. But these are the things that happen to us, though. There's like this obsession. We suffer, a lot of us, over assimilation. They make us assimilate so we don't get all of the aspects of our culture.
Of course.
All the while, they're doing that. And I find so ironic that we're making our own culture.
Yes,
That's counterculture to the society anyway. That's not assimilating with the society.
Absolutely.
So it's like, you don't want us to speak Spanish though. But now we're doing something where you probably would have wanted us to
Absolutely,
keep speaking Spanish
Come on,
and shit.
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so hilarious though. I always find that funny,
That
man.
is funny, man.
You know what I mean? I remember, my old Earth, remembered imperfection, R.I.P. my old Earth. I used to tell her that stuff a long time ago because she saw all the stuff I did in hip hop and she was like, well, I give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yo. Yeah.
But now we get to the real controversy because the real thing was like when I saw this album cover was like when I was really trying to check you, I was like, I was doing it now as the Spanish Ran. It's like, I was really feeling everything he was doing with Sauce Heist and with Ty Dale, Peace to the Gods.
Yeah, Peace of Ty.
Right? And salute Sauce Heist, who just got married. You know what I mean? So salute to him.
Yeah, word.
And
right now and shit.
yeah, so I was like, man, I need more Spanish Ran beats. You know what I mean? Spanish Ran. That's all in my head. Spanish Ran. You know what I mean?
You started fishing. Yep.
Yeah. and I started saying, oh shit, his. Then you go to his Bandcamp. Then he's got your stuff, and it's like, well, wait a minute. What's this with the blasphemy? The blasphemy cover. I was like, holy shit, they took MM Food. And and for those that know me, and know my work and stuff, they know how much I love Doom. You know what I mean? I don't think that I would have made it through the dark ages without really probably three guys that I listened to the most during the 2000s was really Doom, Hellraiser, and my man Bronze Nazareth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout out to Bronze. He got some shit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's my man right there. You know what I mean?
Yo,
but
I mean, yeah, not for nothing.
So when you decide to do the MF Bloo, which is by the way a beautiful rendition, his shit is ill.
Shout out to Dwayne Plains, man. He made the artwork. Yeah.
But you're wearing not the Doom mask. You're wearing the Magneto mask in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's crazy because it also reminds me of Raz Fresco now doing the Magneto's series.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, why do you gravitate to Magneto? Because these are all at the same time. So this is dopeness all at the same time. Because trust, there's no way that these two worlds would have collided like that.
I mean, when we started MF Blue, Gracias was kind of like, yo, let's show that Blue can rhyme. You know what I mean? Let's show that he got skills. That was kind of like this is the album to show you what I'm made of. But MF Blue was more like the creation of where I want to go with things. So I mean, big shouts to MF Blue, R.I.P. man. I'm so happy that this album was done when he was alive. You know what I mean? So it doesn't show that we were trying to dick ride or anything, be part of the Doom train like everybody is right now all of a sudden,
Right.
But
you don't rhyme at all like Doom.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's
That's for you to get entered in by the cover and you're like, oh, this is totally different though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I mean, when me and Rain were discussing this, we were like, yo, what direction would you take? You know what I mean? I was like, yo, you know what? I'm a big Doom fan. You know what I mean? And I loved his style and his creativity. And he was so versatile. You know what I mean? Which I love. And that's exactly how I want to be. But I'm not trying to be Doom, But that's where the cover came from. We was always a big fan of the Food, cover. So we was like, you know what? Let's just do something to draw attention. And the Magneto, honestly, it was just a spin-off. You know how like Magneto's like an anti-hero. You know what I mean? Like,
indeed. Yeah, he definitely.
Exactly. So it's kind of like I'm still a villain, But you know what I mean? I can show some good out of it as well too, but I'm fighting demons and shit, you know what I mean? So that's where the Magneto actually stand from. I just didn't know it was gonna get the impact that it did. Yo, you know what's a funny story too? Fucking when we dropped the vinyl, shouts to Copenhagen. Copenhagen had got an email from MF Grimm. So, you know, of course you're gonna get out of like every 10, you're gonna get the 1 or 2. It's like, oh, you fucking copying Doom, da da da. You know what I mean? So somebody actually went out their way and kept showing MF Grimm like, yo, look, they're fucking copying, da da da.
Right.
So, you know, MF Grimm had hit up Copenhagen like, hey, listen, is this like you just taking his name MF Bloo? Like, what's going on? Just trying to figure it out. So, anyways, he ended up messaging me. So I was super hyped. I was like, yo, first of all, man, thank you for even messaging me about this, you know? So I had explained it to him. I told him, I said, listen, this came out 2020 when Doom was still alive. I was a big fan of him, you know what I mean? But if you actually listen to the album, it's nothing like Doom. So he appreciated like how I came at him, you know? He was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna check out the album. And he was like, yo, bro, I give you permission to do what you're doing on this situation. So he had hit me like 2 days later. He's like, yo, album is fire. So that's it. That already finalized this whole thing for me because I don't want to hear nobody from comments no more, bro. I got an MF Grimm certified. You know what I mean? So yeah,
right. And you know, the other thing in the cover, which is not unrelated, you wrote on the cereal bowl, the church though. And you mentioned that though.
Yes,
Tell me about that.
That's our brand. That's our label.
Right.
Everybody.
That's right.
The Spanish Ranch, Tree Mason, Aldo. You know, that's the whole vicinity of things.
Right. I just want to make that overt because
Yes,
you know,
man.
a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were getting a lot of that in the beginning, but you know, after I started dropping more albums out, people were like, "All right, we're getting who these the church is now,"
right.
You know what I mean? So,
and when you do what I love too is that the homage is perfect on Operation Blue because it has the vibe of Food. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I don't think people understand how dominating Doom was in 2003 to 2004.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I think you in the legacy of great years that people have had in hip hop, like MCs, like they have a MVP year.
Yeah.
2004 was Doom all the way. You know what I mean?
That Mad Villainy? What he did with
Mad Villainy and then Food all in one year.
Yeah.
And he did, you know, and Victor Vaughn is the year before along with King Ghidorah. You know what I mean? So that was pretty dominating too.
Of course. Man.
But
and not for nothing, the whole comic world of things always drew me to Doom too, you know what I mean? Because I grew up Marvel cards and comics. This was my era, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it felt right.
And it totally goes great, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love the way you start, you know, the way you started, the way you go and look at some of these bars. They're nothing like Doom, but they're so layered, they're so dope. Don't need a string of guitar to get in tune. City, get familiar with the sounds of MF Bloo, where every move is like a comic page. They green with envy, whole kind of rage. I blow your mind, Nirvana ways. Your honor, no honest days when the justice system gotta pay. I'm speaking from the same blocks where the powder lays. I'm out of space, a lot of space needed to do this. When you seek for revenge, dig up 2 graves.
Oh yeah,
and it's great. There's great stuff, and I'm not doing the cadence justice though, because you have a special cadence. It's totally different than what's just like a reading cadence. Somebody could write this and they wouldn't really perform it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's really dope. You never use the cadence that I expect you to use. Never.
And if you see the way I rhyme, bro, that shit looks like just one whole paragraph. You would like, where the fuck do you start, bro? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Oh, when you're in the rhyme book.
Yeah, when I'm in the rhyme zone. Yep, exactly.
That's crazy though.
Yeah, man.
But he's such great. And by the way, yes, it's true. I agree with everyone that's going to tell me when they hear Operation Blue. Yes, Blue was very rude to that girl in the beginning. He was absolutely rude to her, and you know, there's no.
Yeah.
I was just, with you.
No one was harmed in the situation. Okay?
But it was great. But great line, Satchmo. Just remember the antidote is always in the poison. Fuck your support, no need to be poised. Your voice don't make no matter of my choices. That layering, the backwards and frontwards rhyme. It's literally internally rhymed there. That's
and yo, not for nothing.
You know?
Spanish Ran's beats bring me there. You know what I mean? So when I hear the beat, I go based off the beat. You know what I mean? So if it has a certain trumpet goes high up, low, this and that. That's how you know how like back in the day you would have a lot of rhymes from other people and they would take the verses and put them on a new beat.
Right.
You know, you would hear this, bro. You can't do that with mine. You know what I mean? Like I have special.
Remixing you would be a chore. Yeah,
yes.
Definitely.
I have special tactics for each beat I use. You know what I mean?
Because they come out so well arranged. So, like these songs where you get right on that hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're right on the hook and stuff. How long do you have to practice this? Like, how does it work?
Honestly, it flows smooth, man. everything goes perfect. You know what I mean? Because I'm just talking about myself and what I do and this and that. So it comes naturally, man, to be honest, you know?
It's crazy. Kane Marco is an example. I wrote here abnormally in the pocket. There's the only way I could describe it. It's about a 10-syllable leaping rhythm that then gets performed double time. Because I was counting. It was like consistently 10 syllables that you were bouncing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing how deep to go. I still realize where the surface is. Where the fuck, now I'm nervous. Maybe I haven't realized the limits, but lyrics still lifted his power of mine. It's just crazy. The stutter is done so good. It sounds like a mistake left in, then you used it. You know what I mean?
What's crazy about that song, the whole beat was just originally the first section.
Right.
But Ran, when he sent me the beat, like towards the end of the whole thing, that beat came out. I was like, yo, this shit's crazy. So I rhymed to it. He was like, oh, what the fuck? He was like, yo, this actually sounds pretty dope. So he actually meshed them together at the time.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How long are these songs taking? Like when you do a song like that, how long are these albums taking? How long are these songs?
It's quick, man.
How long will you spend it?
Like we don't, when we working, it's not kind of like, all right, let's do this album today, you know? It's kind of like usually every couple days we'll do a song, and we'll do a bunch, you know? But we'll kind of just pick out a bunch and make them cohesive towards that, you know what I mean? But I already have an idea when I know the album I'm creating, where I want to go with it.
When do you know they're done? Like when did you know MF Blue was done?
Honestly, Rand helped finish that, man. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm my own worst critic. I could be like, nah, do that again, do that, do
He's
this.
like telling you, it's good enough.
He's very like,
you
know what I mean? Very organized. You know, like, all right, listen, this is sound right here, this sound here. You know what? Nah, this song don't sound good with this album. Not counting out the song, just not for this album, you know? So there's been a lot of times like that where I've had songs in the past I ain't used, and then later on we put it to light. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, no, they're quick, man. They're quick, to be honest. You work really fast, man.
Such great stuff. And I know I'm quoting a lot of lyrics because there's so many good things in here. Don't need no record deal or wrecking reels. Spiced up with some sex appeal. Lice up on the head was real. Lysol spray and roaches swinging like I'm Cecil Fielder. If you ask Abuela, Vicks up on the chest to heal you.
Yeah.
I prefer paraphernalia. Just a civilian who stays out of sight like a chameleon. With so many ties at Morris Park, you think I was Sicilian. Serving hits like serving drinks. I guess I'm bartending. Can't take this bread when you die, so start spending. That was uncanny. Just great stuff. But then you switch it on Requiem for a Dream, and it's almost like you change the voice pitch, like it's a high whisper. Yep, you're inside someone's head in a dream, like the way it would sound if someone's talking to you in a dream.
So crazy you say that, because that's exactly the mindset I was in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a high whisper.
That's exactly what I call it. It was like, wait, it's called Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, it goes in there. Yeah. You know, and it's like that one was quite not a double time. It was.
Yeah, it was a full on. Like yeah.
You know what I mean? And your rhymes, they roll so heavily. I could see that, like, you really reach a blackout when you write. Like,
I do.
You know?
No, I really do.
You can tell, like, the way you're going, disappeared. Again, stream of conscious flow. You know what I mean? Ain't No, that was another vocal snippet where you going crazy.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
You know, like with the wordings, I love those.
Where you were right in there, and yeah.
I love those, bro. Those are my favorites.
Too much fun listening to this stuff. Adult Swim was one of the signature songs. It stayed in my head a long time, you know what I mean? And you said, been obsessing with perfection. I had been stressing over nothing. What's the lesson? Catch anxiety at the greatest times. Don't mind depression less. And shit, cause I now see the signs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier about like the ego. I don't have no ego. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, listen, man. You know what I mean? I get vulnerable too. You know what I'm saying? I get anxiety just like other people. You know what I mean? No doubt about that.
Right.
I'm real human.
You know, a lot of MCs tell me. Ka tells me this. Everybody tells me this. Making this music itself is a therapy.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
And it feels that way listening to it. So I imagine it is when you're making it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like does it have a release though when you go back and listen to these albums?
Yeah, man. Really,
you know,
especially when Rand mixes them. Once they're all mixed up, oh man,
right.
I can't stop listening to it after that, bro. Yeah, man.
Great lines here. Again, I'm going to end with Eisenheart. That's the last song on the MF Blue. They always aim at your head for a price, but like a lifeless corpse with a smile, I'm dead nice. You also said Blue at home zone, and all my mornings start with moaning from a baddie. My performance, Oscar worthy, locked and loaded. You bitches got bacalao odor. There's so much funny bars in here too that I didn't have time to write all of the cleverness and the funny bars.
And that's where like the doomish comes into it.
Right.
Like, cool, because Dumo had slick word. You know
right. Yeah, absolutely. You know? And then you came out with Danger Blue, right? when you do this though, was it because like, why continue the Doom stuff? And then even with the homage with Mad Villain, then you got the Quasimodo in there with the brick. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got the Magneto helmet, you know, and you're going through the Bronx.
It's funny though, because originally the artwork was supposed to be me holding the mask. So I was slowly trying to step away from it, because I know when it comes to performing and all that now, I don't want people expecting me to come out with the Magneto mask. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
So I was trying to like stray away from it, because even if you see Nowhere Blue, I don't mean to go forward, but you know it's behind my back. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
so I'm slowly trying to like push it away. Like, all right, you got Blue. You know what I mean? It was cool that the MF Blue gave attention, but this is about me. You know what I mean? It's about Blue Asu.
No, I get that. That's dope. Yeah. This one has one of my great. I love, you know, and I didn't say this, but I love the song titles that you have. Hasbro's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it's all my era.
I resisted the urge to dial 1-800-223-9797. You know what I mean?
I was so pissed about that, man. I don't know what happened, but DistroKid canceled out half of that song because we did a Saved by the Bell skit.
Oh, Preppy. Yeah. That shit was...
Yo, it's great, but now in iTunes, you won't get that. It's a whole new one. Now it's Ran and Feeve talking at that part now, because they just canceled that on us. They took out the whole album and everything out of iTunes.
Oh, wow. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Man.
So it's like, whoever heard that, you a true fan. You know what I mean? So...
Damn, yeah. No, it's great that you added that. I was like,
man.
It was so funny that it was in there.
Bell,
and then it was hilarious when you named the song Stephanie Tanner, though.
Oh, man.
Like, because, you know, she never got any respect. So then you were talking about respect on the song.
Yes.
You was like, put respect on my name. I said, what's the name of the song? Oh, he said Stephanie. Damn.
Yo, that's so great you caught that, man. Like a Nardwuar moment. Look at that.
That shit was hilarious,
that's
though.
Dope,
Yeah. You know what I mean? Look at the bars, though. If you ain't been overseas, can't agree with him. Couple soldiers lost, so we grieving them. Toss and turn in evenings. Quarantine nightmares and Freddy Krueger creeping in. Everything I sow, I'm reaping in. Just believe in him, one of a kind, one of the last to survive the terror dome. You checked all the merits I've owned, I'm forever home, but still say my prayers before I sleep, that the demons stay while I'm awake. It gets deep, I carry on. Yeah. And that motivational I carry on is very powerful.
Yeah, man. It's just,
you know again, tell me about that verse.
Yeah, it's just about me fighting my demons. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their own battles, and I'm going through my own, you know, but I'm still trying to stay positive and shit, you know? But there's a lot going on, man, you know?
You know, it's funny that, you know, there's a lot of Doom. There's Doom homage in the covers and the artwork. You know what I mean? One of the things that's similar to Doom is that Doom was really one of the ideal street MCs that rhymed about the street. People say if you listen, he was rhyming about the street. He says shit about jail that people don't know about jail unless you're in there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's stuff that I wouldn't have written because I was never in jail. I would never write that. You know what I mean? And a lot of other stuff that he would say. You know what I mean? But he wasn't out there talking about specific crimes.
Talking about chains and this, that. He wasn't even rock a chain, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, and
that's why I can relate to it.
It's one of the auras that you have. You have that aura, and it's such in a different way. You know what I'm saying? It's very refreshing. You know what I mean? But and so many great lines in the Diallo when you said constant face of disgust like a white racist fuck. You know what I mean? Like I visualize that. You know what I mean? Like
I was kind of like trying to pause myself. Fuck. All right, let me not get into detail on this.
Right.
Fucking critics and shit.
Yeah, and there was such great commentary here. Funny how hearing sirens still make me nervous. Can't control it. We was molded to their liking. Striking like resemblance between my brother and another. A lineup almost led to a kidnapping charge that when in fact a mishap would have done 25 easy.
Oh, yeah.
If you ain't find the proof to dismiss that. System never in our favor, but ironic to our ethnicities are all up in your flavors. You know, so you talk about the close calls in your own life, but then also make that poignant point that, you know, they take all of our stuff. They love to sell us, but they don't, you know, they don't.
Yeah. No, that line actually was based on one of my best friends and shit. Cops came at his door 5 a.m. for like a court order, and they brought him in. They actually put him in a lineup at that same moment. Mm-hmm. What's crazy is that he happened to go in the lineup, and some lady was like, he's the one that kidnapped me. And like, he had no proof behind it, so they just kind of went with her word, and he was about to do 25, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until his brother's girlfriend found a fucking parking ticket from Orchard Beach that same day that the lady supposedly got kidnapped and shit. You know what I mean? So she found a parking ticket and brought it to the court and shit, so they dismissed the whole thing.
Oh,
if she didn't see that shit, bro, he did 25 for nothing. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
That is wild right there. Man, all praises do that ticket, man.
Nigga.
Shit. You know what I mean? But the layering is so much fun to listen to. You know what I mean? Of course, the samples with Preppy. Hey, Preppy.
yeah. I love saying, bro, me and Rand. That's
oh, man. Shit, yeah, I can't. Yeah, we all watch that.
We Zach and Slater, bro. Word.
Zach and Slater. Which one uses Zach?
I guess he would be more the Zach. Yeah. I'm more the What's up, Preppy?
No, because if you go check Blue Azul's videos, if you check him online though, and I guess as a low life though, I got to make note of his fashion though. Blue Azul, your fashion is always out there. It always has different shit. Your color game. Everything. You know what I mean?
You remember growing up, a lot of the artists that we knew, bro, one thing about them too is you wanted to be like them. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I used to see Nas and all these guys, like, bro, they dress crazy. Like, yo, I need these. You know what I mean? So that's always importance. You know what I mean?
Your fashion is mad creative. You know what I mean? It's dope. You know what I mean? But that song, 1-800, the 1-800 song, Insanity One, so much profanity, what you expect from calamities. Damn it. If these one-of-a-kind gunning for mine, seen peers try hundreds of times, not knowing 101 to be the one coming with the grind. See what I'm saying?
About not stopping. You know what I mean? Like, not stopping.
And the flow doesn't. You know what I mean? It's rolling so much. It's just great. You know what I mean? But we had talked about it off air, a little bit on air. No, we had talked about it just prior. You had said, where I'm from, pun was De Niro. And I was experiencing pun from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Still Boricua, but still experiencing pun from Brooklyn. For people that know, and I was getting some shit on it too, because Big Punisher Forever IG, they shared the Double XL review of Capital Punishment. Oh, and I was the one that wrote that. You know what I mean?
I think the guy from Tough City runs that IG too.
Oh yeah,
the Big Punish Rebel.
Yeah. I didn't get shit from him. They were like, "Oh, pun deserved the 5." Well, me too. I don't get to make the grades. You know what I mean? I've got to write it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if people know my writing style, you could tell what was me and what was not. It's pretty blatant when you read the review. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't have to. I wrote that shit when I was fucking 20 something. You know what I mean? So get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? But the point is, right? What was the experience of pun though, as a Puerto Rican, brothers out there in the Bronx in the 2000s, like after he died and stuff, growing up, knowing of pun, you know what I'm saying? And being so young, because he still passed away while he was very young.
No, absolutely.
You know?
That's actually, I've seen him a couple times, but I didn't really see him until the funeral. You know what I mean? Like when we went to Ortiz's funeral and saw him there. But
right, people forget how big that funeral was. You know what I mean?
Huge.
It was huge, and then it took forever, you know?
Yeah, it was a big impact. But Terror Squad alone, I feel like that's always been a part of me. I mean, my next door neighbor was Triple Sace. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
It's so crazy. He fucking told me how to roll Dutches and all that shit. It's mad funny, you know? So I would see him a couple times because they would do a lot of softball games, him and Fat Joe and shit like that.
Right.
So I would go by there and see them sometimes. And my pops' friend actually was Pun's neighbor. So whenever my pops go out drinking and shit like that, he always sees Pun across the street. Like, Pun had like this giant fish tank. Like, you would see it right at the window. You know what I mean? That's how you knew that was like his crib and shit. But
yeah, people forget though, like in the 90s and the 2000s, how much Fat Joe was embedded in the community. You know what I mean? We could, and I do it too. We could criticize all of the commercial music he makes, though. We all know that I say that Latin music dies in Miami, but at the same time, he was a community force, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I would constantly see. If I give example of that, I interviewed Fat Joe multiple times, but I remember one time when we marched for Anthony Baez. You know, when he got choked by the police, right? Because he was throwing the football and everything.
Yeah.
And we marched all the way from the Bronx down to City Hall. I'm way back. It's a huge crowd. I'm not even close to the front. You know what I mean? And we stop and everything, you know, and all of a sudden there's a big guy next to me. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm tired. I hate walking, you know, and I look up and I say, oh shit, it's Fat Joe. And I said, Fat Joe, what are you doing here? You should be in the front. Like, you know, and he was just like, nah, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about, you know, the issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they were, people's experience with Fat Joe growing up in those eras is a lot different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
right? It's
Especially if he was from Trinity.
there's a
area, you know?
there's a lot of gray issues though. So there's one way you could say, listen, his music is,
I mean, yo, not for nothing. Don Cartagena, that album was insane.
Oh yeah,
man.
oh yeah, that got
Insane.
burned. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even still, even after that, he's had peaks though. He still can show he can rhyme though,
Of
like
course.
digging
Yeah,
into
yeah.
crates and
He was like a Fabulous. He would just try to stay relevant. You know what I mean?
right,
Into the times and
yeah.
shit.
Of course, to my disgust, all the time. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to give it context of what it was like growing up and knowing about that. It's very. I've always found that interesting. You know what I mean? Because a lot of my career as a writer, I couldn't write about things in major magazines unless there was a Latino involved. And it didn't matter. I was 5%, and I knew about the lyrics of certain artists way better than the guys that were doing it. He's a spick. He can only write about this guy. He can only write about that guy. You know, we ran out of Beat Nuts. Once I finished Beat Nuts and Fat Joe, I got nobody left to write about. You know what I mean? But you know that was the thing. But I love that line there. It made me think a lot too. You know what I mean? But so much that wordplay. Green MetroCard. When you're surrounded by circus clowns that try you, do you really know who's by you, or are they just floating past to buy you?
Oh, past the bayou. Yeah,
Right.
Like,
buy
yeah,
you.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
purchase you. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
this is clever shit. You know, and I caught that. You know what I mean? But I want to run through some of these songs, but there's so much in here. I think I've given enough wealth. I have quoted lyrics off all of these songs that are exceptional. Champion, I think it was
Jamie Jersey.
I think it was Thomas J. The part at the end where you had those bars where I die, celebrate by making jokes and roasting me, spark a L and blow the smoke at me and play some MF Doom, of course. I'm learning that this journey has a purpose beyond control. Need to see what's inside of my soul and can explain the constant deja vus. Maybe they just faded jewels, suppressed memory. I curse like Yosemite Sam. There's so much introspection, you know what I mean, that you even got me thinking about deja vus and everything like that.
Yeah. Like, where does it stem from? You know?
Right. You know, what's interesting to me is that I think about, like, what's going to be a deja vu for you, though, is these albums in the future. You know, and as you look back on them and how they replay and spark you in the future, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even think about
But there's so many great lines. Hawaiian Sea is filled with bars. I mean, each one of these
Shout
things,
out to DJ Mastermind. Yeah,
you know, he did the scratches, right? Those are great cuts. Those are great cuts. You know what I mean? Again, lots of bars. Never a Time, though. Never a Time was a powerful song. That was one of your deepest songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you mentioned things that are still going on.
Yeah, man. Just with society and how, you know, people are just not really like doing their own due diligence on what's going on instead of just listening to the media.
Right,
you know?
right. Absolutely. Prioritize or go insane. I know that hell is empty because all the devils are here. Learned that fear is the worst enemy of progress, so keep a thirst energy on this. With the First Amendment conscious persevere. Certain peers fell behind. It hurts severe. Some are on a high horse blurting like blurting like Revere. Revere. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. But here, the St. Peter's, though, I was blown away. I was blown away because I didn't expect it. I'm listening to the whole song, and you ended with the entire sentence being relevant. I literally was like, what the fuck? Somehow I seem too harsh. You know I shine. And with the rise of the morning sun, I find that I've lost and now I need. I was like, what the fuck? And that line, the end of it, goes with the song that was sampled. So it's the same lyric.
And that goes back to what I was telling you before.
Oh, like, my goodness.
Depending on the beat, that's how I want to go at it. You know
beastly.
what I mean?
How long? Again, I keep asking, how long does it take to make that?
It's quick, man. It's quick. It really is. Not to toot a horn or nothing like that, but it's really fast. Once I hear the beat, I'm all in. You know what I mean? And that's the thing with Ran. It's not about what beat I'm going to pick. It's what I'm going to do when he press play.
Yeah, it's like you're a rhyming karaoke machine, you know, like with your own bars in it, though. You know, you just went. Yeah. It's so much fun to listen to because it really fuses the track. You know what I mean? By the way, Spanish Ran has this way of making vocals and making his vocal samples become part of a hip hop song needs to crowd the room. You know what I mean? And a lot of the way he uses vocals, they tend to crowd the room and cause like an extra air. You know, it's really great that he does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
A real quick side note to a small EP that people don't talk about or don't know is the one that you did also, because we're finishing 2020, right? was the Coco Lopez EP that you did with Nem.
Shouts to Nems. Yeah. Nem Nieves, I mean.
Nem Nieves,
Not
right?
Nems, Nems.
Yeah, not FYL, fuck your life, you fucking gun
yeah.
You know what I mean? My favorite interview question was when someone asked Nems, what's a gunta? You know what I mean? He's a fucking dirty bitch. That's what he said. It's fucking dirty bitch. Yeah. So now I know what a gunta is. That's you know. But Nem Nieves did some real nice beats here. When was this recorded though? Because I'm just trying to put it in the timeline of working with Spanish Ran, or was it before working with Spanish Ran?
It was during the same time, but this was like when I was verging off like MF Blue and all that. After I did Gracias, so I was just eager to put myself out there. I'm like, let's just put ourselves out there. So Ran actually had knew Nieves. I think he met him at Rock Nation at one point or whatever. So when Nieves had reached out to me, I told Randy, he was like, nah, I fucked with him. He got some dope shit, whatever. So he gave me the cosign. I said, all right, cool. Because at the moment, I was just kind of just working with Rand, It was just me and Rand doing shit. I'm not saying I don't want to do other producers, but we have that chemistry, So
these were like a battle bar. These were like some bench press bars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are bars where you could put on other beats and it'll still rock out. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah, exactly.
They have some of the introspection, but they were really like, yo, this is where I'm going to put, this is the training music, what I mean? It was
exactly.
tough stuff, and it was really nice, though. You know what I mean?
And that was the direction I went. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna rhyme. That's it. Just just go at it. Yeah. There wasn't no main direction, but it was still hitting the point.
Now, 2021. I don't remember hearing a 3-song EP that really felt so complete as the Blue Dahlia EP. First off, people. I guess this is a way of saying like, yo, it's. Now the artwork is impeccable, but it's not, doom.
It's not just
homage.
Yeah, exactly.
This is beautiful artwork.
Yeah, man. Dwayne Plains again, man. He's a fucking animal, bro. He's an
beautiful.
Animal.
You know what I mean? Like, wow. You know what I mean? I love the artwork, the colors, the everything was beautiful. And what was the choice to just do 3, like just 3 tracks?
Honestly, it stemmed from Candy. Like once we had the Candy. That kind of just gave us the direction on the effect we wanted to go. It's kind of like a psychedelic effect,
Okay.
Notice even with the artwork, it looks like it's trickling down like a melting.
Yeah, it has like a 60s album cover feel, you know what I mean? Like
that's why even Somewhere Quiet, you get that Sgt. Pepper vibe, you know what I mean? like it just brings it to that. So that whole EP was just like kind of like a psychedelic version, you know what I mean? And we would stemming up to the Nowhere Blue. We already knew Nowhere Blue was going to come out at the time, but we said, you know what, let's just give some people something to give them.
Oh man, I love this EP. It had that. If people want to get a dose of the poetry that you give out, the poetry, the insight, the introspective nature, get that quick dose right there. Just dose yourself with that. Though, if you don't like that, you need to go to a different genre or something. Go check something out. You know what I mean?
Word.
Ask Spotify to help you. You know what I mean? Change your algorithms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just don't go to Korea Blue.
Right? But there's such a fetishing starts in such a mid stride. Like it starts out like in the middle of you speaking. It's so weird it's the only way I could explain it. It's like a mid stride start. You know what I mean? And you're saying lines like bunch of cheap imitations and unlike you, I've reached no limitations. My free throw shit is basics. Proceed with medication. See the occasion. Knee deep like Kaepernick feeding the pavement. This rabbit hole has no exit. Too much has been exposed. There's so much to think about here, but it also sets that tone of what the vibe is like.
Yeah, man. I was on a big rabbit hole too at that time, man, with everything, just the government, everything that's going on, you know what I mean?
And I can imagine the type of MC that you are, the type of writer that you are, all that's happening. Now you get, we're going from Trump. We're going from, people forget what we lived through was a virus. We lived through quarantine. We lived through riots.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? People so mad. We're so mad about the fucking pigs that we don't give a shit about a virus.
Yeah.
That's really, that's right.
Yeah, because they straight it away. You know what I mean? They put
they'll kill us
elsewhere.
So why should we care about a virus? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And all of this is kind of coming out. Autobio notes on Candy. You know what I mean? It's so good. Releasing that dopamine wide awake, but it's all a dream. Deciphering the difference between real and reality made it difficult. Tell me about that. What do you mean by real in reality?
That whole thing is a LSD trip. The whole song "Candy" is LSD. That's basically what it is, you know. So I was just kind of giving
right
the vibe feeling of it. You know what I mean?
Oh my
It's kind of like, all right, step into this world. This is what's going on.
And
you know?
said if you don't dive in with an open mind, then some just won't understand. Your third eye sees clear, but don't peek at a mirror. You'll want to thank me because that shit trust is difficult.
I don't know if you ever took LSD.
No, I have not. No.
Bro, trying to look in a mirror, yo, that's fucking crazy, bro. You look like what's that? Where the wild things are? You look like a fucking beast, bro. Like, bro, yeah, man. No, but think about LSD too, though, man. It's not like a fun drug. It's like an ego check. You know, it kind of just like changes your whole perspective on things. You know, kind of just broadens your awareness of things. You know,
right? Because you know when we study like the indigenous, you know, and we also study like people like Timothy Leary that all try to do stuff. They were trying to use this for augmentation of the mind. You know,
yeah, and that's why I say that our ancestors see further than what we would ever see. You know what I mean? Because they were in tune at the time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so when you make your guided trip with with someone that really knows it, though, then you make another song absolutely. Too. You know,
yeah, man. Nah, I've been led by some good drug heads. Yeah, they know their shit, man.
Right? Oh man, great line here. Been searching for years. I reside where they lurk in your fears. Tell me about that line. What were you thinking when you wrote that on Somewhere Quiet?
I mean, I'm talking about where I'm from and pretty much, you know what I mean? People are always trying to get the vulnerability out of you. You know what I mean? In general, like, you know, they're never trying to see the good part of it. You know, they're trying to scare straight you, you know, that's pretty much what it is, you know?
Absolutely. And you know, one thing I like about a lot of the themes and a lot of the autobio that goes into your songs is that I relate to is your struggles as a father, like just being a father, how difficult it is. You know what I mean? Man loves his kids, so he has to resort to the bullshit like a matador. You know what I mean? And then you say lines like this: always found a way to rebel. Maybe it ain't about the money, David Chappelle. I made it well. A lot of wishes I should have made it well. You ain't on my level. You know what I mean? I love the manipulation of the rhyme bar. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I love when you do that. It means that we don't know what's gonna come because we're not expecting you to manipulate the bar like that. You know what I mean?
And not for nothing, my error put part in all that. You know what I mean? Like we talked about earlier with Eminem. I mean, you know, I'm not
sure,
fan, but he was one of the few that I knew that would make two words that had nothing to do with each other.
Right. And of course, and Black Thought was always doing that.
Same way.
Yeah, Black Thought with the M militant. He's never pronounced militant correctly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Never.
It's always M militant, but a great album, a great EP. I've probably the best EP I've heard this year because it's so concentrated, it's so unique. You know, appreciate and of course, the artwork gets doper and doper. This is like those old vintage cartoons.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? When we look at Nowhere Blue, you know what I mean? It has those vintage cartoons. I love the background, the Boricua flag, the RIP Daniel Dumoulin.
Yeah.
You know, you got the bodega there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got the sticker of MF Blue, and you got, of course, you know, you got the obligatory bum. That's corner, you know,
it's funny because when we were scouting for an album, I that's right there in my corner, right in my block and shit. And when I was taking the picture of like to show, Bum was just chilling there. Yeah,
he was there.
So my Dwayne just went crazy on after that. Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah.
Word.
Oh shit, this is crazy. You know what I mean? But this one, Mayday, has the vocal sample. The vocal sample to me is like a marker stop, and you keep hitting it though with that. You know, with the same bar sound.
Yes.
And
exactly.
you keep hitting it though. And I get the lyrics are so good that it doesn't get boring. You know, because some people they'll dry out the lyric.
They get a little repetitive.
Yeah, they'll dry out the lyric well, and it'll get boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it becomes a complete song. These are so stream of conscious. These songs. How the hell do they come up being so unified as like? Feeling like a real song about something.
Like that one specifically, like Mayday?
In general, you know, some of these songs, Mayday, including, how do they come out where like, okay, I just didn't babble through the whole song, you know?
Yeah. I honestly, there's really no way to go deep into that. That's my brain, man. You know what I mean? Like it just clicks.
Because
I already know the formula.
Right.
I know what to expect. So I never want to be boring. So I'm always going to up my game. You know what I mean?
Right, because you're going stream of conscious, but it never goes so far. They're like, man, he's just talking about whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I still try to make you interested. You know what I mean?
Right.
Throw little jokes here and there, throw some truth. You know,
You is one of my favorite songs because you have so many things I love in a song. I love the first bar. I love a great first bar. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
just
important.
like Prodigy.
To open it.
People really didn't realize first bars until they realized, like Inspector Deck, Prodigy. Prodigy was one of the
Prodigy
greatest at
was-
first bars. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace, man.
Like almost
Insane.
all of his first bars are like, you know, monumental. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you start spoken words over broken curbs, spot a flow absurd.
Yeah, Spot of Flows.
But it's the way you say the spoken words over broken curbs. It's so in the pocket.
Yeah.
The drums are so nice, though. It's so ideal. You know, Spanish Man must have been hyped.
Yo,
when he
bro,
heard
before
that.
I even finished that song, that was the first two. That 2 bars came out like in 3 seconds, bro. I was like, oh, okay, this is the one right here. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and what I noticed is that the vocal sample is chaotic there. The U. So it's not like, okay, yeah. He timed it and it's gonna end up here.
Yeah.
That U is not coming in at the same time all the
No,
time.
not at all. I didn't want to drag that out. The
Right,
you,
right.
You know what I mean? I didn't
So
want to make
when-
the whole thing a you.
When
you
you're
know?
on it, it's actually fun. And then when you can use it later like an insult,
Yes,
it's
yes,
fun because it's
yes.
like, you got it. Oh, he puts it in now. You know what I mean?
Yes,
When you
yes.
said, straight perfection is what I aim for. Mental shooting range with the pencil. Pursue my dreams. Can't be a joke like you.
Yep, yeah.
And it was coming where I didn't expect the you to come there because
Yeah.
it wasn't in the count that was in my head
Yeah,
while
yeah,
I was
yeah.
listening.
I was already rhyming over the you prior.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't in my
exactly.
head in the count. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And just great. Like,
Now, some songs I catch and I know I'm like, all right, you know what? This will kind of drag it out if I do too much of that. You know what I mean? So I do what
now,
feels right.
what's
you know?
I always like to ask MCs, like, what's the work that you do? Because along with that is a great vocabulary that you have. There's no denying the vocabulary.
Yeah, man. My pops is a big part of that.
Every line is aesthetic while they're synthetics, giving headaches. Just great lines. And the word choices. A lot of people wouldn't use those words in there. You could replace that with something else.
Of course.
But those lines make it better.
Yeah.
You know, those words make it better. What's the work as an MC to try to have better vocabulary to do these things?
That started from young. Like, I mean, my favorite subject was English. You know what I mean? Like, I would always write stuff. And my pops, he was a writer. He actually he was a journalist for a boxing page. So he was always writing and stuff like that. Yeah. So, like, that was a big inspiration. You know what I mean? My pops is well spoken. You know, so that played a big part in how I move. You know.
Absolutely. And the great song titles continue. Sade in the shower. I mean, come on, we all think
Come on,
about
man.
Sade.
Always.
I read Sade in the shower and I just had a whole...
The whole vision.
yeah, I couldn't even press play because I had a whole
Hold on, wait a
thought.
minute.
Yeah.
Word.
Hold on. Yeah. Love is stronger than... Yeah. But you had such great lines here. Truth lies beyond the 5 senses. Just a file on senses. Too many grab onto hope and apply tension. We walk around indecisive, not knowing the lives are guided. Really started to question freedom. Steam green like the best of vegans. I just had the vegan line because I'm vegan too.
You got you.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that stemmed from just everything that's going on still right now. You know,
Right,
with,
right.
like the people obeying
I
the
noticed
laws and
that
not questioning everything.
in these
you know?
times of whether the vaccine is right, whether the vaccine is wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Not a lot of people question though.
A lot of people don't
go
question
and just go with it.
You know,
what I mean?
and the simple fact is that whether you took the vaccine or not,
Yeah,
though,
nothing against
you
that.
absolutely are part of the experiment. This is not even really FDA approved, and it's certainly not experimented.
yeah.
You know, it's not verified in experiment like others. You know what I mean? And it's not really a vaccine either. So
Of course, exactly.
it's not it's a spike protein. It's totally different.
Big difference.
You know, and there's a lot of things that you say in the songs to make, you know, someone think like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At the same time, I just don't want it to sound boring. Like, he's talking about this political. You know what I mean? I still try to keep it interesting. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Because so many people are talking about this.
Of
There's
course,
so many
man.
people talking about COVID. And there's so many people that are taking try to take a phony anti-establishment when they're really not. You know what I mean? Or question things when they really don't. You know what I mean?
Or-
Again, Kruger Avenue, the intermission, you go on that another track where you're doing the extended rhyme on one sound again.
Yeah.
You know, the syllable structure is on point. You know what I mean? Got the diversity, seen many girls, you know, a little Susio stuff.
I was
you know what I
laughing
mean?
because J. Cole's album, one of the songs, he was doing the whole rhyme pattern of Kruger Ave. I forgot what song it is, but if you hear it, you'll be like, oh, I see exactly what you're talking about. He even says like something about Kane, like Danity. He says almost a whole kind of similarity. It's so
Get
funny.
out of here. Yeah. No, so then the haters will say, you know,
Of course,
yeah.
but mine came out first. So I ain't worried about that.
Yeah, J. Cole, yeah. Jay Stoll.
Yeah, Jay Stoll.
Jay Stoll. But Worthy has the double time flow. And again, I keep saying double time flow, but that doesn't mean anything with you because there's so many different types of speeds that you take. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's so many types of speed. There's like bounces to it. There's a lot of different devices that you use. You know what I mean?
Be one track minded, you know.
Absolutely. Just great stuff here. You know, what I also found here is that I don't know if this is, if you felt this way, but it feels like Spanish Rand's beats here, he went deeper into trying to draw out the introspection out of you. You know, he went more for even more soulful stuff, even more music that questions existence, you know, in his sample crates, you know what I mean?
If you really break down over Blue, half of it goes into that, you know what I mean? The first half is like, all right, the hard, the gritty, but still with substance, you know? And then I try to stray it out towards the end, you know what I mean? Because that's what I love doing. I love soulish type shit. I love expressing myself, you know? That's a big part of me. So he's able to balance both my demons, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was thinking when I was listening to On the Road to Nowhere, I had written this. There's so many verses that there are peeks into your reality. You know what I mean? It's as if we don't belong there and we're looking into a gallery of expression we aren't necessarily invited to, but eventually welcome. Yeah. That's how I feel like listening to music. Like we're peeking in, we're not really supposed to. Yeah. But then it's like, okay, yeah, now it's cool. You know, like you could see this, all of my stuff, you know what I mean? It's really hard to do that, and it's appreciative because there's music that becomes timeless because years from now, these problems will still be here. These issues will still be here. And
you think about how many times now it always refreshes.
Right.
You know
So it has an anthemic quality, but in more of a supportive anthemic quality. And don't get it twisted, to listener. This is music that you can. I trained with this music all week. I've been doing crazy shit to it. I've been benching, doing kung fu with it, everything. You know what I mean? This is stuff that's not going to drag you either. It's just crazy. It's crazy how you hit that divide between listening music and also that hip hop bounce, you know, hype, you know, hypeness, you know. It's really great stuff. Meet Your Soul was a great way to end the song. You know what I mean? So many great lines. You know, where you talk about your kids planting seeds, now they're damn near trees. You know, lots of great stuff in here. You know, this whole time I'm searching for the ladder, I was already at the top. With confidence comes accomplishments. You can never break barriers if you focus on the consequence. But I'm bad at taking compliments. You know,
I really am though. You know,
well, that's too bad. You know what I mean? That's too bad. But just great work. I have hit the end of his catalog as of now. But this is great. This is great work. You know, when you make these records, like when you made Nowhere Blue, as a totality, you know what I mean? What is it that you wanted the listener to get to now? Like if this is their first introduction to you.
I just wanted them to get the real me, you know, and everything I abide by. You know, if you hear everybody that rhymes, there's really no forefront of things, you know, and I kind of just want to put myself out there, just be exposed, you know, so you can just feel welcome to keep listening, you know. So yeah, I'm just giving me, man, you know.
Absolutely. You know, this is the thing I love about the work you and Spanish Rand do, is that it's complete on all sides. The musical quality, the sound quality, the lyric quality, the effort that you put into the lyrics, the sound that the vocal power that you have, because you have a great, articulate, powerful, booming voice. Thank you. The artwork, the vinyl packages are beautiful. You know what I mean? I mean, they look amazing. You know, like even the vinyl, the designs, and the album art is collectibles. The back cover art, I had just recently saw the back cover art of Nowhere Blue. I was like, wow, that shit is dope too. You know what I mean? This is all great stuff. You know what I mean? It's an incredible catalog, and I love this beginning that I have in cataloging your career. It letting the world know that Blue Azul is really one of the great poets of this time right now. You know what I mean? This is great stuff. You know what I mean? And people know that when I say that in the context, I'm talking about the context of everything I've ever heard in my life, everything I've heard in this era, and it's a lot of shit though. You know what I mean? This is out of a collection I have already this year, 2021, of over 200 works. You know? So this is the context that I'm saying when I talk about things of now and also all time, all the stuff that I've ever written about. This is great stuff, Blue Azul. You know, and it's a real blessing to have you rhyming on the mic, though. You know,
and I appreciate that, man.
I look forward to more works.
I appreciate you really looking into what I do and seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. You know, and if you don't like this stuff from Blue Azul, though, then you like something else, though. You know what I mean? Go into get your Kenny G albums. You know what I mean? Get something, you know what I mean? Engelbert Humperdinck, you know what I mean? Get with that. But great stuff, Blue Azul. They can go to Blue Azul. at the Bandcamp, go to bearded_blue.
Yeah.
BEARDED_BLOO on the IG. That way you could contact them.
Yeah, everything's there.
You could tell them that there's more artwork killing it now.
Yeah. Now we've been blessed to get a lot of fans that's been jumping on the wagon now.
You know
man.
what I mean? They're like great artwork, and I love the whole Brutus thing now. You know, because you kind of you're like a Boricua Brutus.
Yeah, I know. And that just that wasn't even like the main intent with Nowhere Blue. We just kind of did the Popeye thing, but it just stemmed out crazy.
Right, and it works. It really works, though. You know what I mean? It's great stuff. You know what I mean? A whole package these brothers give to you. You know what I mean? It's great stuff. I enjoyed it so much, though. Go to Blue Azul. Also, go to Spanish Rand.
Yeah, go to Spanish Rand.
You know, go to Spanish Rand, because if you go to Bandcamp, on the Blue Azul Bandcamp, the which one is not there? The Blue Dahlia EP isn't there.
Yeah.
So you can only get that on the Spanish Rand Bandcamp. So go there and everything. And of course, Spanish Rand has all the other brothers, right, of the church, right? Tree Mason, Aldo, these
the Heist Life, all them,
all different types of work. All different types of MCs, and it shows you how diverse the Bronx is. People are really fucking sleeping on the Bronx. You know what I mean?
Nah, we here to wake them up, though. That's right. You know?
Absolutely. So it was a real honor to build on this. You know what I mean? And a real, even greater honor to have spent the time enjoying this. So until next time, there'll be a lot more stories to tell, writings to recite, and records to rewind and reminisce. For my guest, Blue Azul, an introspective street poet of an MC with an extraordinary verbal athleticism. I'm your host, Sunya Zala, a.k.a. Skillustrator Low, the Hector Lovo cantando. And as always, the Power Right Show is a never respect fake broadcast. Peace.